The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Welcome to On Cue. I'm your host, Eric Olson. On today's program, we get an inside look at the Hormel Foods Corporation annual shareholders meeting with Austin Daily Herald Managing Editor Adam Haringa. Austin High School robotics team coach and advisor Ryan Stanley and a few of his students join us to demonstrate their latest project. And finally, Mark Bjorlie from the Recreation Committee for Vision 2020 is here to give us an update on the tours we heard about earlier in the season. Stay tuned for On Cue.
From KSMQ Television in Austin, this is On Cue, connecting interesting issues and interesting people. On Cue.
There is no question that Hormel Foods Corporation has an enormous impact on our region, so it's no surprise that there is great interest in the annual shareholders meeting. Adam Haringa of the Austin Daily Herald joins us now, covered the meeting and joins us now. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad
to see you here to give us a little more insight. And of course, the big news, I suppose, at the shareholders meeting was, if you were a fan of Jif, folks, in the past, if you're like our household, you better change your allegiance because there's a new brand in town. How'd you like that, Adam? How'd you like that little prop there? Of course, the big news was the acquisition, obviously, by Hormel of the Skippy brand. Did that dominate the discussion or not really?
It was definitely one of the big talking points. It actually did not happen during the fiscal year of 2012, but Mr. Ettinger, the CEO, said, it was too big of a deal not to talk about. So it was definitely on the minds of the shareholders, and it garnered a lot of attention.
And this is the largest acquisition in the company's huge, long history. Why is that important for a company to grow, to make these kinds of acquisitions? Does that signal a positive thing? And if so, how come? Why?
Well, in Hormel's case, they have been fairly aggressive in the last decade of seeking out acquisitions that kind of fit their business model and their plans. And Skippy, they think, is going to fit right in. It's not a meat product, but it's a protein product, and they feel it'll complement a lot of their other items. And so that was kind of their feeling on that.
Oh, that's interesting. They also talked a little bit about, I don't know if this was mentioned at the meeting, but in some of their writings, they used a term, and it's going to escape me now, but something about inside the aisle sales or inside the store sales.
Yeah.
Because their chili product, Hormel chili, has been kind of under siege. They've had a lot of competition, and they called that an inside the store
sale?
Yeah.
Within the grocery division, a lot of the products, I think center of the aisle.
That's what it was, center of the aisle, right.
They talk about kind of complementing some of their other food and, just kind of cross-promoting that way and having more items along the center aisle.
And I think when he announced the acquisition, Jeff Ettinger said, there are other ways to package peanut butter. Like that might be a huge thing. I mean, my wife said, hey, how about bacon bits and peanut butter?
Sure. And I don't think they're ruling anything out at this point. They talked about, their phrase was taking the peanut butter out of the jar. So I think, they said this was a good acquisition in that it doesn't have a lot of they don't market in a lot of other ways. It's just peanut butter in a jar. And so what Hormel prides itself on is innovation. And so it's going to look at its marketing team to kind of come up with a bunch of new ways to sell peanut butter. And I think that's what they want to do domestically in the U.S.
What's the audience like at the shareholders meeting? Hormel is such a huge global company. Are there a lot of folks from out of town that are there, or is it people like you and me, like residents of Austin? What's it feel like in there?
Yeah, it's anyone who's a shareholder is welcome, and so they get I think it's a mix of both, but I would say probably the majority are from Austin. They have a lot of people coming in from out of town. But yeah, the majority is probably Austin people who have stocks.
And do many people speak at the meeting? Are there a lot of numbers thrown around, PowerPoints with different groups, or is it pretty much just Mr. Ettinger?
It's usually Mr. Ettinger calls the meeting to order. They go through their little their mundane details of business, and then they get on to they have a featured speaker. That whole portion lasts about 45 minutes, and then at the end, anyone who wants to talk can. So this year, the featured speaker was from research and development, and so they talked about the kind of the science behind making sure their food's safe and innovating too.
Oh, that's interesting. Was there anything that person talked about that didn't make it into the paper that you just thought, man, that's interesting?
Well, they talked a lot about how they have over more than 100 scientists here in Austin, and at any given time they have 300 different projects that they're working on, and so food safety I think is paramount from what they said. But he said at the end of his presentation he talked about how he didn't tell us everything because a lot of it's a secret, and so I got to laugh, but they have a lot of marketing and innovative things that they're doing behind the scenes before they rolled out that they don't talk about.
And obviously we backed up. I mean, I didn't say the general story was they had a very successful year. I mean, that it kind of goes without saying if you're in the community, but we should mention.
Yeah, definitely. They talked about how they're trying to grow total sales by 5% each year and earnings by 10%, and they're on pace. They didn't have the growth in 2012 they had in 2011. But they're still growing, and they've gone from $5.5 billion in total sales about 6 years ago to now $8.2 billion. So it's steady growth over the last 5 years for them.
And here was one new one that we started seeing, and I've started seeing in the store a couple of weeks ago, or actually a couple months ago, Rev, and sure enough, he mentioned that as a new product. So this is Rev. It's like a wrap. Kind of like a burrito with meat. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's a thicker bread wrap with some meat inside. Did they talk about what the idea is behind that, this new product?
Yeah, I think that's kind of like a lunch on the go item. That was one of their big new items that they highlighted at the meeting. So yeah, it's kind of a lunch on the go type deal, and they're kind of trying to market to a new demographic, I think, with that.
Okay, and that one is refrigerated, at least at the store. So I suppose you could put it in your lunchbox, your kid's lunchbox, if it has a little insulation, and you're good to go for lunch. And then there was this one that I saw in the store that was not refrigerated. It says new on it, Spam, red beans and rice. There was a whole bunch of other types of it, and this is a new product too they're talking about, I think.
Yeah, that's another thing they highlighted was the shelf-stable meals that include Spam. So I think they're excited about that. Spam was the big item last year with its 75th anniversary.
Oh, sure.
But I think they're still trying new ways to sell that as well.
And Adam, we're talking, it's our special food edition here as we change gears and move from Hormel. Let's keep talking about food. You wanted to bring up, there's some good old names from restaurant world in Austin that are coming back. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, there's a couple big ones. Restaurants that have been around for a long time that were closed for a while that are both reopened now. The most recent one is Tolly's Time Out, and that opened beginning of January.
And that's a huge institution. I've only been here a year, but generations of folks used to go to that place.
Yep, and it's like a supper club atmosphere, and they have a bar too, so they're pretty excited about that. And the other one is, it was called Jerry's Other Place, and now it's called Olivia's Family Restaurant, but that spot down in downtown was empty for a while, and now that one's open and busy again too.
So maybe folks thought that, is there an uptick in the economy or is this just like a random happening as far as 2 additional restaurants in town now?
it does seem like it fits into the bigger picture of, you know, the economy. While Austin didn't have, you know, the big dip that the rest of the U.S. had as far as, you know, unemployment and the housing market, it did go down, and it does look like it's recovering pretty nicely now in Austin if you look at all the segments of the economy.
So do you own one share of Hormel stock so you get invited to the meeting? That's an old newspaper trick, you know?
No,
so you get,
no.
No, you don't?
Nope, I don't own any Hormel stock.
They let you get in there anyway, though.
Yep, they invite the media, so.
And they get, I saw in the paper they had a little, like, box lunches. Were they lunches or giveaway? What was it that you got in the bucket?
Yeah, that was, media actually didn't get those, but all the shareholders got a gift bag, I suppose. It had Skippy and some other Hormel products in it and a lot of coupons, I think. So
some pepperoni sticks, maybe?
Yeah.
Were those? Okay, good. Well, Adam Haringa, thank you very much for joining us from the Austin Daily Herald, and we'll look forward to your continued business reporting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. And we'll be back in just a minute.
You can watch On Cue anytime by visiting the KSMQ TV website, ksmq.org.
And welcome back to On Cue. Well, you know, at the Hormel Corporation, they use a lot of robotic technology in their processing areas. And we're going to talk robotics right now with some scientists of the future, some technology real whizzes here from Austin High who have built some really cool things here that are motorized, and check it out. You can see our wide shot. We're going to put these into motion in just a minute. But I want to introduce first Ryan Stanley from Austin High School, teacher of the First Robotics program. Is that
Yes.
right? It's called First Robotics.
Yes.
Okay. And then Joe Grabo and Cutter Peters. Hi.
Hi.
Seniors.
Juniors.
And let's see, behind me, off to my shoulder here, on my left shoulder, is Chong Stiha and George Gonzalez. Seniors, gentlemen? Yes. Yes, seniors. Welcome, one and all, to the station. And we have a bunch in the control room too, who helped build these things. Is that right?
Yes.
Built them from the ground up.
Yes.
Did you do soapbox derby when you were a kid? Did you build those little soapbox cars? And yeah.
For, Cub Scouts and stuff.
Yeah. So we have people kind of interested in science, but this takes it to a whole new level.
Yes.
What's the class about? What's the program about?
Well, right now it's a class and a club. First Robotics at Austin High School started as a club and now has moved into the classroom, and I teach 2 sections of Principles of Technology.
Okay. And the principles lead to the construction of the gizmos we see here?
Well, that's what the class is called. But we do 2 competitions within the class. Actually 3 this year. One is the super mileage vehicle, and so I have a team of students doing that at the same time that we're doing First Robotics also.
Okay. So let me ask Joe first. What does your shirt mean? And what project are you working on?
The shirt, this is our team shirt from 2 years ago, I believe. And our team is number 3055.
Oh, okay, because this is part of a national First Robotics group.
Yes, we're the
competition.
3055th team to sign up.
Okay,
so
very nice.
There's a lot of teams.
So that's the official Austin High logo
then
merchandise. Cool.
Logo is Furious George. Is our team name.
Very good.
Kind of
okay, what project are you working on this year?
I'm the pit crew chief, so I'm in charge. I basically have to know how everything on the robot works, how to repair it if it goes wrong. And then during competition, I'll kind of be making sure everything gets done in a orderly fashion and kind of prioritizing and making sure what needs to be done gets done.
And Cutter, are you also involved?
Yes.
And on the pit crew, or
I am actually doing wires. I work with all the wiring on the bot with Chung, and me and him set it all up so that it can run the motors.
Okay. Now there's directions from the first Robotics on what you're to accomplish, right? You were telling me there's this big thick manual or something?
Just like there's a rule book for like the state football book, you know, it says these are the rules that every football game in Minnesota should follow. We get one of those, and it has all the specifics for how big the field is, what the objects in the game are like, what our robot has to be within these parameters, if these things are illegal or if these things are legal, penalties, fouls.
What it's supposed to accomplish?
Yeah, how you score, how the game is played. Yeah.
Okay, but there's no menu or guide to say how long the dimensions of the vehicle, or there are?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to be within certain parameters. Like this year, you have to have a perimeter equal to or less than 112 inches.
Okay.
Also this year, for the first time, they gave us a chassis to start with. That's the one you see on the ground. It's they gave us into kit of parts, which is what we get when we start, is this box of stuff to work with until you figure out what you want to do.
Okay. Can we see a little bit of this in action? What do you have to give a secret sign to the guys behind me to get them to do it, or what are you going to make a call like a football player or something?
They can just go. I mean,
okay.
If you want them to go.
Well, you've got two here. What do they each do?
The little one is for Vex Robotics. It's a smaller version of First Robotics. It's
Vex, like V-E-X?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And that one this year is to pick up things off the ground. As you see, it's bean bags. And when you pick up the bean bags, you have to drop them into a chute, pretty much.
Okay.
And that's what that competition is this year.
And the other one?
That's the chassis we received in the kit of parts this year for First Robotics.
Okay.
And it's just a generic chassis of what a bot may look like. And right now it's kind of a bare bones. It's just a chassis, forward, backward, drives around, but we don't have any like appendages for shooting or anything like that.
Are those Xbox controllers up there?
This one isn't. It's a Vex controller.
Oh, okay. Vex controller.
It's proprietary.
Practical use of controllers for games, for a first practical use. Okay. Well, we don't have any music or anything, but just let her rip, guys. So Ryan, what skills are they learning?
They are learning engineering. They're learning the design build process. They are learning electronics, pneumatics.
What about the computer programming part? Is there a whole computer program?
We use a program called LabVIEW, and it's an icon-based computer program for controlling motors, pneumatics, arms.
So this must be really popular if it's become a class, which started as a club.
Yes.
So there's a ton of people in the control room. How many students do you have?
We have 19 in first hour and 20 in eighth hour.
Okay.
So it's 40, 45 in the club strong.
Some are in the club that aren't in class.
Right. So we're probably at 45 or 50.
So where do you guys go to compete, guys and gals, when you go? Is there like meets, like a track meet or something where you all go?
Well, this year it changes sometimes.
It's a regional competition.
There's a regional competition every year, and it normally happens around March. And this year we're going to Duluth, and they have 2 different regionals at it, and then there's another one that happens at the U of M, and they have 2 different regionals at that one too.
And there's referees or judges or something?
Yes.
There's an official field, and you'll be scheduled for matches, like games, on that field probably 8 times a day for 3 days. And then you'll get there, and there will be 6 robots on this field, and there will be 2 or 3 referees reffing the match. I mean, calling fouls, calling like points and whatnot. I mean,
Okay.
It's pretty official.
Well, can we do a quick drag race? Can you guys just like race the little guy against the big guy? We just have a few seconds left, but maybe you don't want to do that. There we go. Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. We're gonna leave you with a little race action here.
Gun it.
Gun it.
Come on. Full bore. Foot to the floor.
Austin High Robotics. That was fun. We'll be right back with our Vision 2020 segment. Stay with us.
Queue up your own comments for On Cue and send them to us at onq@ksmq.org. On Cue's Vision 2020 segment is brought to you by Hormel Foundation, Games People Play, and Turtle Creek Estates.
And welcome back to On Cue. I'm Eric Olson. Time now for our Vision 2020 segment. And joining us this week, Mark Bjorlie from the Recreation Center Committee and the Design Subcommittee. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Eric. Thanks for having me.
And your longtime experience, of course, for folks who don't know, with the YMCA, you bring a great skill set to this Recreation Committee concept. And you recently, as a group, took a trip to look at what other communities are doing. What did you find?
Yeah, we took a trip to visit about 6 different locations up in the Twin City area. And we specifically were targeting facilities that involve collaboration, because we really strongly feel that that's the path that we're heading down here for Austin with the Vision 2020 project, is a recreation center that's built in a collaborative effort. So we went and we looked at the Waconia Community Center. We looked also at a Lifetime Fitness down in Chanhassen to take a look at that type of a private health club environment and what all they have to offer. We also looked at the Edina Community Center, which was called the Edinburgh Park, and then that was very close to the Southdale YMCA. So we took a look at that because they just recently completed a full renovation and expansion of their facility. So we wanted to see that. And then we went on to see the Andover YMCA up in the northern part of the metro area. And that is it's basically the Andover Community Center YMCA, because it's a collaborative effort with the city and and also the YMCA up there. And then we also looked at another collaborative effort with another YMCA over on the St. Paul side. The East Side YMCA over there was built in collaboration with the school district.
So you had a good balance of visits of lesser populated and also in kind of a metro Southdale area, larger places. And again, educate me, because as I've said, our viewers are tired of hearing it probably, but I'm new to the area, being new. And I think our why is dynamite, based on, where your relation to where you came from, So what do we need, what do the experts say we need in a facility, in a recreation center that we don't have presently?
That's what we're trying to search out. And so we have some ideas of what we feel that we need. It came out in the Vision 2020 community sessions that people would like to have a larger aquatic park or a large pool that's kind of family friendly. At the YMCA we've got the traditional 6-lane 25-yard pool, and it serves things like swim lessons and swimming laps and swim team fairly well. But for family fun time, there's been new regulations that have happened over the years that have eliminated a diving board, eliminated a slide.
So a water component.
So it's just basically, for a lot of families, it looks like, okay, it's a tank of water, but there's not a whole lot you can do in it that really has fun features.
So a water component, what else?
I think we also realize that there's a need for a facility that can have several like tournament type of events going on, where you might have 4 volleyball teams playing each other at the same time in one venue, rather than right now with the Park and Rec, when they want to sponsor a volleyball tournament, they have to give people directions. Well, when you get done with this game, you have to go across town over to this gymnasium, and then from there you go over across town to another gymnasium. It's all scattered all over the place, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to create that tournament environment, and
Were
things
those
of
the
that
two
nature.
biggies, or was there?
I think along with that, they feel like they would like to have more of a wow factor in a new facility that certainly has state-of-the-art equipment, has enough equipment. That's one thing that we already know from the board working at the YMCA with what we're trying to provide for our members in the community there, is that the number of pieces of exercise equipment is not adequate to meet our members' needs especially during the peak times of the year from October through April. That time of year, it's a lot of times people are frustrated that they can't get on a particular piece of equipment they want to at the time that works for them to come and exercise.
So your committee's digesting the info from your road trip, and will be meeting further to discuss.
Correct. And then the other thing that we're doing, and I should mention too, I left out one other facility we did go to. We went down to Osage, Iowa, where they have the Cedar River Center, which is, again, a community collaboration that involved a city project for a rec center, and then it also included a space for the Historical Society in their museum, and then also for entertainment for the arts, they have a theater there as well. So
multi-use?
Yep.
Sounds good. So, Mark Bjorlie, thank you very much.
Oh, glad to be here.
Thanks for your service on Vision 2020.
You're welcome.
And that'll do it for us this week. I'm Eric Olson. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again on Q.
On Q is a production of KSMQ Television in Austin, nonprofit public television.